we're going to do is cut up some onion and garlic, and bam, mine's already cut up. Haha. The next step we're going to do is saute the onion and garlic. We're going to use butter because it adds this really rich cream, yummy flavor in the background. I got a lot of requests for this recipe because I posted a delicious looking picture on Facebook, and now, needless to say, there was a lot of requests afterwards for me to cover the recipe. I actually learned how to do this last summer because I got sick of waiting to go to Panera once in a while to eat their broccoli cheddar soup, and I'm a huge fan of that soup, and I just was like, you know what, I'm just going to learn how to make this myself. So after a couple tries, I finally got it down to how I like it, at least. So as you can see, we put the onion and garlic in the melted butter, and I probably wouldn't advise you to stir it with a knife, but you know, if you can handle it, then then go for it, I guess. Oh, and probably add some more butter. Like I'm acting like Paula Deen now. Bubbly goodness. Yum, 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 yum. It'll eventually look like this, clearish, yellowish, and then we're going to set it aside for later. I'm using evaporated milk from a can because it's convenient. I happen to have it in my pantry. You can use half and half if you want to. I think that's actually what Panera uses, but it'll make it a little bit creamier, a little more fattening, so just bear that in mind if you use it. Okay, grab your all-purpose flour, and we're going to make a roux. Just some background info on what a roux is. It's just a fancy French name for a thickening agent for any type of meal. It's a cooked mixture of usually wheat flour and fat, but in this case we used some clarified butter. And it's typically made from equal parts of flour and butter, so in this case we used about a tablespoon or two of butter, so about a tablespoon or two of flour is all you need. There you go. The first part of making a roux is adding some butter inside the pan and then letting it melt. So here I am adding the butter, and just a word of advice, you probably shouldn't have the pot on like super hot when you're putting the butter inside the pan, because things like this happen and then the butter burns and then, you know, bad things happen. And we're back. I finally got it tamed. I had to add a lot more butter to compensate for the heat that was there, but anyways, you can see I'm adding flour, and when you first add the flour, make sure you stir it really thoroughly, and make sure this is over medium heat again. It'll look like this. It'll look really thick, kind of globby, really gross looking maybe, but don't get worried, it's supposed to look like this. This is a thickening agent for the soup. To that, we're adding the evaporated milk, or if you use half and half, you can add that too, and this will get the soup really thick. You can use cornstarch instead. Some people use that. And you keep stirring until you get to this kind of consistency. It's really thick, and you can see that this will definitely get the soup to the thickness that we want it to be. To that, I add water, and if you want the exact amounts, look at the description below. You could add chicken stock if you want, vegetable stock. I use water, and it tastes perfectly fine with water, so. Okay, now that it's simmering, we can add our broccoli. I use frozen broccoli, a full pound of frozen broccoli. You can use fresh broccoli too, but know that it will have to cook a little bit longer. So I just use frozen. It's really convenient. To this we add the onions. Don't forget about the onions that we sauteed earlier. And you want to get them all into the pot and just have that all hang out in there for a little bit.
Let's make this happen, girl. We're gonna show the world there's something you can work and it can work for you. And you know that it will. Let's get this started, girl. We're moving up, it's been a lot to change. But you will always get what you want. It took a little time to make a little better. It's only going up, just one thing then another, you know. You know. It took a little time to make a little better. It's only going up, just one thing then another, you know.
So when it looks like you have a pot full of milk, water, and broccoli, don't freak out. It's okay. It's supposed to look like that for a while. Let it simmer, and eventually it'll look a little bit like this. It's getting a little thick, and when it gets to that point, we add the cheese, my favorite part. Well, I guess I said the butter was my favorite part earlier, but anyways, we're adding the cheese. I got extra fancy cheddar cheese. You can add whatever cheese you want, but there you go. You add it in the pot, it melts, and then you stir it in. To that we add black pepper and salt, of course, and I don't really add too much seasoning to this. I really like the flavors of the broccoli and the cheese and the creaminess of the milk and butter. The next ingredient is brain, and you can get that at any supermarket around your area, and I really like this brain because it's a sheep brain. Okay, I'm just joking. I found it in the dollar store and I couldn't resist myself. Eventually your soup will look like this, bubbly, thick, delicious looking and smelling. I added some paprika because it adds a really good undertone and it's a little bit spicy. I didn't have any bread on me, so I did go out and get some, frozen biscuits, like Pillsbury Grand biscuits, and just follow the instructions on the container and you'll be fine.
You're my diamond girl, you're the one I put the rock on. You're my diamond girl, you're the one that I quit the game for. You're my diamond girl, you're the one I put the rock on. You're my diamond girl.
There it is, simmering away, looking gorgeous and finished, actually. So we're going to serve up now. I got to admit that this didn't come out exactly how I wanted it to. It had a little bit more liquid than I would prefer. I do like mine chock full of broccoli because I'm a broccoli-aholic. So, but it's okay. With the biscuits, it's really nice to mop up the extra goodness. A little extra cheese never hurt anybody, right? Add your deliciously warm biscuits to your deliciously warm soup. There's probably no other more beautiful sight than that. And I got my fancy glass out and poured some delicious apple juice in it. I promise you it's apple juice. There's no craziness going on here. I just like being fancy once in a while.
Are you fancy, huh?
And there you go, guys and gals, a delicious meal. And it takes like no time, barely any ingredients, really simple, and really, really, really good. Let me tell you, it is so good. Oh, and the best part is you have leftovers. Hey, thanks for watching another episode. If you have any suggestions for recipes that you want me to cover, or if you have any questions about the recipes that I've already covered, please feel free to comment. The full list of ingredients and the amount of each of them that I used is in the description below. If you want to check out more videos, some of my writing, or anything else that I'm interested in, please visit my Tumblr. And if you want to check out my photography, visit my Flickr stream. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.